Hi, Sairee. Thank you so much for joining us at 60 Days, 60 Voices. It's a learning initiative that GAME, the Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, has kickstarted last week. As an ecosystem enabler for small businesses, it seemed now more than ever it was important for us to bring together as many voices as possible to understand both what the challenges are, but more importantly, in a forward looking manner what we can do together, and really in a way of collaboration. And it's really special to have you today as founder of Sheroes. I feel your voice is singularly important to being part of this collaboration. So I'd like to start with asking you to just throw a little bit of light on what Sheroes does, and perhaps segue into really what are the challenges you are seeing on the ground for the community of women that you have on your platform.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing this. So to quickly share with you what Sheroes is. So Sheroes is an online platform. Actually, it's an online ecosystem which is built specifically for women. We are one of the few platforms that's women only, and the idea is to add an extra layer of safety and trust into the community. A lot of our learning comes from the success of the community model for women in India. You know, Amol, Seva, microfinance. There's a whole lot that's happened, but all of that has happened offline. So think of Sheroes as a platform that does everything that offline communities do for their members, but in a large online setting. So when a woman becomes part of Sheroes, not only she's joining this large social network, but she's also able to, one, find a safe space to express herself, hang out with peers, find work, find advice, find a marketplace for her products or services, and eventually find financial products like credit. So it's a safe space for women to find things that help them grow in a really easy, consumable format. So that's fundamentally Sheroes for you. And of course, the major spaces we work in include women's health, social commerce, careers and entrepreneurship, creativity and expression. And of course, there's a lot of other things women end up doing on the network.
Thanks for that, Sairee. And if you can touch on what challenges COVID has thrown up for these women.
I think for women, the challenges are, I call it a bit of a double whammy, because for women, their work has increased. Their work has increased because they're just sort of having to do a lot more heavy lifting. And it's also economically a very difficult time, financially a very difficult time for a lot of people, because when a financial crisis happens, women are the first ones to sort of take the brunt. They're already less represented in workforce, in entrepreneurship, in credit, in business, and that kind of sort of pushes them further down. That's a huge challenge. There's a lot of emotional labor. There's a lot of mental heavy lifting women end up doing when crisis hits, keeping families together, keeping homes together, making sure the engines are running, food is on the table, handling a lot of stress that it runs in the family at any point in time. And clearly women are sort of obviously facing that. And of course, third is loss of income and opportunities. India's majority women workforce does not sit in the formal sector or in the corporate sector. Most of them are small businesses, self-employed, micro entrepreneurs, now digital entrepreneurs as a growing space. And loss of income is a big issue, because obviously, a lot of things are shut. So clearly a difficult time for the community.
What are you as Sheroes doing? What are ways that you're supporting people and women who are part of your community to try and come out of this? If you can throw some light on that.
Right. So there are three things we've sort of, decided we're going to work on. One is emotional support. Basically making sure there is a ecosystem of support. There's a trust layer in the network. So we run a helpline. It's a counseling helpline, and we've kind of increased our sort of spread on that. a lot of women in these times are also facing abuse and anxiety situations. Domestic violence is on the rise. So we have stepped up on offering support to all members via not only the communities, but also the helpline, and bringing in more partners to help us do that. Second is, helping people make the shift. So what's happened is clearly the physical world, the offline world, the logistics are clearly impacted, but we also know digital is growing. So one of the initiatives we are doing is helping more and more people switch to digital products and services, even as entrepreneurs, so that they have more access. They can find a way forward. They can be a little more future ready. So an element of learning. So we have a initiative called SHECO, which stands for She-Commerce. So enabling women on digital businesses and enabling women to use digital as a means of earning livelihood. So we kind of stepping up on that. And we are also, helping them switch to products that are digital in nature. So I think that's sort of super important. And third is, strengthening the ecosystem for entrepreneurs. So, access to credit, access to soft loans, access to know-how, access to things that might help them reinvent themselves or focus on things that might be relevant at this point in time. So increasing access to resources of that nature are some of the things that we are doing.
Thanks, Sairee. One of the things that you mentioned yesterday on a Twitter chat that you joined Game on, and it really is resonating in almost every conversation that I've been having lately, and the idea of compassionate commerce. I really noticed that you specifically brought that up too. If you can say a few things about that.
Right. So look, I think the in some ways, I know like this is a crisis and it's a difficult moment for everyone, but it also it's pointing us to some things. Like all it took was a month for everything to crumble, right? Like we all one paycheck away from a disaster. So really it tells a lot about the society we've built, the income inequality, the strength of our investment in people, in healthcare, in entrepreneurship, in local communities. And I think we can't get away from that. Like those are telling signs for us. And, we would be wasting a good crisis if we didn't sort of do something about them at this point in time. And look, we are a resource crunched, populated country, and there is no way one federal structure or one federal solution will work for everyone. People have to take charge of their own lives. Even when we're looking at how crisis is being managed, we are seeing that local communities are doing way better than, let's say, just federal supported communities. So we need to be very cognizant of that. And look, we can't run away from the fact that a large number of people face poverty and decimation of their existence from society thanks to crises like this, and it is also a sign on how we've designed our economy and our society. So clearly capitalism is not working in some forms, and while it's the most efficient way to create value, we also need to relook at what will make this sustainable, what will make this environment friendly, and what will make it more open to very, very diverse voices. And I think those are challenges we can't run away from. They're really, and if we don't look at them hard and fast right now, they're going to come back to bite us. I mean, we're already in the middle of a crisis. We can't afford another one.
Thanks. That was so well put, Sairee. My last question, what can we as Game, and when I say Game, I don't mean the small secretariat, but Game as an alliance where we look at you as a partner. What can we do really as a collaborative?
Right. So look, I think as a platform where there are a lot of institutions, organizations, and resources present, think of it like an ecosystem. Think of it like an Amazonian rainforest. And the only way to sort of go forward is to cross-pollinate, So a healthy ecosystem is when more people are givers and they're lesser takers. Unfortunately, where we are as a society, that's not the case. Most people are not in a giving position. So I think what we really need to do is look at the strength of each of these networks. So whether it's entrepreneurial resources, or whether it's access to credit, access to knowledge, we just need a lot more cross pollination, lot more information sharing, and I think just some fundamental values, design values of game as an alliance. And I think if we articulate them, it just puts out, it just makes decision making much easier for the whole network, right? And it's, think of it like a charter, like a UN charter, right? To say we will put sustainability above profits, for example, or we will put human lives above everything. I mean, it's already there in the UN Charter, but obviously humanity has forgotten that. Or the fact that we will put more power in hands of local communities, or universal basic income is something that we support. Universal healthcare, universal education, universal entrepreneurship. These are all pillars on which a lot of things can be built. So I think we need like a very fundamental charter for all of us to sort of imbibe, and we all kind of stand for it already, but articulating it will institutionalize it, and then I think making space for a lot of easy flow of information and resources, because some of these are very common societal goals, and the more we share and the more we sort of collaborate, the better it gets.
Great. I'm going to take a shot at summarizing the key takeaways from our conversation, Sairee. And what you emphasized on largely was a need for us to invest in humanity, to learn from this crisis and emerge from old ways of thinking and a capitalist or capitalism focused economy to one that's investing in people to make the best of themselves. The second point you emphasized on was the need for diversity. We need to be open to diverse voices. And as an ecosystem, more than anything else, we need to cross-pollinate to ensure we're building on each other's strengths to be able to throw a collective weight for absolute potential to come out of this COVID crisis. And lastly, what you mentioned was really identify fundamental values that will help this ecosystem and collaboration to move forward.
Absolutely. That's thanks for sharing that. Very, very well put.
Thank you so much, Sairee. I look forward to being in touch, and we promise we're going to go beyond conversations to action on the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ita.